morning. Thank you for joining us for this live overview session of Osprey. I'm Amy Bruce, Marketing Director at Osprey, and I'm joined by Dave, our product specialist, who will be taking you through the demo today. This session is designed to show you a top-level overview of the features, functionality, and integrations across the software. In this webinar today, we're joined by fellow Osprey clients. Some of you may have had the system for years, but are keeping up to date on new releases. Some may be new to your firm, therefore new to Osprey, and some may be currently onboarding to Osprey. So this is your first time seeing the platform in full. Welcome to everybody. Our aim today is to provide an overview of what is possible in Osprey and share the array of features and integrations you could be utilising to improve efficiencies, increase visibility of data, streamline operations, and mitigate risk. The key areas we're going to cover in the demo today are inquiry management, onboarding clients and the client portal, client and matter management, Osprey workflows, document and email management, time recording and billing, and reporting and dashboards. So as we move through the demo, we'll also show you the latest functionality updates. Today, we'll be demoing the recently released expenses and overtime feature. As we get to the accounts and billing section, Dave will show you how you can track your expenses and overtime claims directly within Osprey. This is a particularly useful feature for any legal aid firms out there, but can assist all firms to better track spend across the business. If you have any questions throughout the session, please pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat, and I'll field those through to Dave as we go. Just a final thing from me is all Osprey clients have access to free unlimited training. That means if there's anything you see in today's session that you'd like to learn more about or utilise in your firm, you and your team can take training with us to get you set up. Please contact your CSM or the support team to get started. So with the intro complete, I'm now going to hand over to Dave to take us through the demo.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Amy, and great to meet with you all today. Let me just share my screen. If you could just let me know once you can see Osprey, that would be appreciated, Amy.
It's taking its time. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we've got that.
Fantastic. Okay, let's jump straight in. Our first port of call is going to be our client portal. So the client portal, in conjunction with Osprey, allows you to share and collaborate on information with your clients. We are able to create, each of you, a client portal, and we can brand this with your logos and color schemes. You can add a button to your website, you can direct your clients to that, and then they can simply log in. Now, upon logging in, your clients will be able to see a list of their cases. And just to let you know that it's obviously up to you which client and matters are accessible through the client portal. And also which information within those. So nothing will ever be displayed without your explicit permission. Now, in this example, I've logged in as Dominic. He can see multiple cases here. And then if I just click on one of these, for example, a house purchase, in terms of the information we can share with the client, first off, we've got what we call the case status. Now, the case status shows the client where you are within a particular workflow. And you can see examples. We've got the percentage of the way through the process. We can easily see which actions have been completed and which are outstanding. And these match with your workflows within the Osprey case management system. And obviously, we'll come on to those later. You also have the ability to display things like key dates, so tasks and deadlines. And it's all about keeping your client up to date. And perhaps, if property searches are going to be 3 to 4 weeks to come back, then you can advertise that information so that you're setting expectations. You could also share all of your documents or a select view of documents. Your clients have the ability to send you a message if they've got a query about a specific document. They can download these and preview them as well. Finally, within the client portal, there is a file sharing and upload facility, so your clients can upload documents and supporting evidence against their cases. The fee earner will be notified. They'll receive an email plus a copy of that document, but also a copy of the document will automatically be uploaded to their matter history. So that's just a brief overview of the client portal. Jumping into Osprey itself, here we are at the home screen. And the first thing that we're going to just run through is the coming up section. And this is, for all intents and purposes, your task management platform. So the ability to have gentle reminders to go and review matters. If you want a reminder on a specific date, on a recurring basis, every week, every fortnight, every month, or perhaps you want a reminder to go and review a matter if it's gone 10 or more days without any perceived activity against it. Also within the coming up section, you've got your key dates. So these are your tasks, reminders, and deadlines. And all of these are color coded. They're all in chronological order as of when you need to go and review them. The beauty about the key dates is that you can add these both manually to client and matters, but where you're likely to gain the most significant benefits is when you incorporate them into the workflows. So the workflows can automatically add things like completion and exchange dates based upon information that you've entered previously. Over on the right-hand side, your recent matters list, quick and easy access to those. You'll see the last 20 there. Also, we amalgamate that into the global search bar in the top left-hand corner. This is obviously also where you can search across all of your client and matters. A really useful facility and feature here is this See All Matters table. And if you click on it for the first time, then what it will do is list all of the matters within the system. Now, the added benefit here is each individual user can actually tailor this view. So in this example, under the fee earner column, I've got mine defaulting to me, Dave Dingle. So whenever I return to this screen, it's going to just show me all of my matters that I'm looking after. Obviously, you can add additional criteria and filters to this. So if you just want to see your open matters, we make that very easy. And then you've got a complete overview of all of your live matters, all of your balances, and all of the next steps. Back to the home screen, we're going to move up towards the top right-hand corner and our first introduction to time recording. Where you see the clock, if you click on it, it brings over a slide over panel on the right-hand side. From here, you can see any timers that you've got running. So you have the ability to create single or multiple timers across single or multiple client and matters. You can pause them, restart them, move between them, and then obviously post the time. You also have the post time button. And if I click on it, by default, it will bring up the client and matter that I'm currently in. From here, I can either select that client and matter, or I can search for any other client and matter within the system. I then have the ability to record any time and activities. So for example, I was attending a client meeting, 10 units of time. A really useful feature here is the ability to add multiple activities. So if you're traveling, waiting, attending court, waiting, traveling, all of those activities can be included within a single time entry. At the bottom, you then have the ability to enter your attendance note text, which is additional information about the activities you conducted. Also, from here, we have the Time Ledger Postings tab. This is really useful for fee earners because it allows them to see a chronological list of all of the time recording entries they've recorded. At the top of each day, we summarize the total units, time and value. So if any of you are on targets, then you can see how you're performing against those. So all of your time recording, all of your entries can be conducted without the need to ever navigate away from this homepage. Moving up towards the very top right, we've got the new action button. So this gives you access quick and easy access to key features and functions that you may use on a day-to-day basis. So things like online requisitions or electronic chitties, and we'll come on to those a bit later. There's your key dates, your task reminders, deadlines, your three communication methods, SMS, email, and document production. And then at the top, we've got three options that take you through wizards and step-by-step instructions for creating a new client, a new matter, and then also a conflict of interest search. Now, typically, the conflict of interest search is where you're likely to start your journey with Osprey. So in this example, if we imagine Lucy Wilson has come to your practice, she's interested in your legal services, then we can simply click on the conflict of interest search and get the process started. I'm going to click on search a new party, and this allows me to search for the opposing party's details. In this example, I'm going to pop in John Wilson to make sure that we're not acting on his behalf. I have the ability to search across any other custom data I'm holding within Osprey. So, for example, that could be company registration numbers, passport or driving license numbers, or things like date of birth. When I click continue, Osprey then performs the search. And in this example, it will come up with a list of client and matters that it is recommending that I check to ensure that there is no conflict. Now, to do that, I can simply click on the client and matter number, which is in the grey box. And what that will do is bring over a slide over panel on the right, and it will show me all of the matter details. I then have the ability to click on any of the tabs across the top. So if I want to dive deeper into the client contact details, or I want to see any of their related matter information, I can do all of that without leaving the searches. You may also note on the right-hand side, we're issuing each client a matter with a different number of segments and color coding based upon how many potential conflicts there are. And if you hover over that icon in the black banner, it will actually show you what conflicts the system has identified. Click on continue. I have the ability to add multiple parties. And then we want whoever's opening the file to acknowledge that they've reviewed those. They can add a message. So I could just say no conflict identified. And then we append the notes, the acknowledgement, and the search results into your matter history automatically. So if you've got the auditors come knocking at your door, you can demonstrate that you conducted that at the outset. Now, I shan't go through the process of creating a full matter, but it's very simple. You can add a new client. Osprey will perform a duplicate check to make sure they don't already exist. But you also have the ability to add a matter to an existing client as well. So if I just search for Lucy, I can select her details. And once again, Osprey will just step me through everything that I need to do in creating a new matter. You may note we have a checkbox here that allows you to set up a client and a matter as a prospect. Osprey then records if and when that turns into a live matter so that you can report on your conversion rates. We can select our work type, our branch, and our department. Now, just the final screen I want to show you as it's quite important, and that is what we call our matter extension fields. Now, this is the ability to capture work type specific information at the point that you're creating the matter. So on screen, you can see some examples. Things like, how did people hear about your services? So perhaps you want to be able to report on that. A great example is estimates of legal costs. So in here, I could record that I'm expecting £1,000. Maybe you want to record what month you're expecting that in, and then that lends itself well to forecasting of revenue. We could also capture things like referrers' names, referral fees. Again, all of these can be reported on. So just some examples there of the type of information you can capture, and that can be tailored on a work type by work type basis. Just one other thing to mention, maybe a little difficult to view this on this remote demonstration, but some of these fields have asterisks, and that simply means that these are mandatory. So we can enforce data entry across certain fields and prevent people from continuing the process until that information has been captured. Okay, once you have a client and matter within the system, there's essentially two places you can go to. First of all, we've got what we call the client workspace. Now, this is their profile. So this is all of the information about Lucy Wilson. We can see instantly that she's had 22 matters with us. We can hover over the matter types and see all of the different legal areas that we've represented her in. We've got financial metrics in terms of her spend this year, last year, and her lifetime spend. All of her account controls, so debtor, disbursement, WIP limits, her invoices. Over on the right-hand side, all of her contact details and her related matters. The second place we can go to is obviously into a matter itself. So let's click on this divorce applicant inquiry, and that takes us straight to the matter workspace. Imagine this, if you will, as your command center. So from here, you can get access to all of the different matter pages. So across the top, you've got the navigation bar that provides one-click access to the matter history, all of your client communications. We've got the financial tab, your client and office ledgers, the time ledger, your key dates, and your workflows. Below that, we have the workflow status. As you progress through perhaps a conveyancing case or a divorce case, the workflow status bar can update as to where you are in the process. Below that, you'll also have a visual representation of how far you are through the process. As you complete tasks, they'll change color and you'll get a completed date. This makes it very simple and easy to see what actions and tasks have been completed and what's outstanding, and then quick and easy access to run the next task within the workflow. Once again, all of your account controls and invoices, and then at the bottom, your coming up section. So your task reminders and deadlines that are specific to this matter. Over on the right-hand side, all of the matter details and the client information as well. Finally, at the very top right, you may just be able to make out we have a matter notes icon and a notification that we've got 3 notes. So you have the ability to enter notes at both the client and the matter level. Once you have a client and a matter within Osprey, the next logical place for you to go is likely to be our workflows. Now, workflows can represent the biggest time savings in your process because they're designed to bring all of the tasks and actions together in logical orders. Now, Osprey has created over 50 workflow templates, which our clients have access to at no additional cost. It's worth noting all of the steps within the workflows can be fully tailored. You even have the ability to create your own workflows from scratch or amend our existing templates. Now, in addition to the time savings, our workflows help your users remain consistent. They're going to have access to the same letters, documents, and templates. You're going to ensure that they're completing any necessary compliance information. So let me just give you an example of how the workflows operate within Osprey. I've actually created one for managing prospects and providing them with an estimate or a quote. So I've created a 5-step process. All I'm going to do is click on the Run button, and Osprey will now step me through everything that I need to do to generate a quote for Lucy. Action 1 is it brings up a questionnaire. I can complete information such as source of introduction, any fixed fee costs, estimates of disbursements. If this is time and materials, I can enter my hourly rate. I can also pop in details of any money on account required. I can capture things like referral details and fees so that I can report across them. Upon entering that information, I'm simply going to click on the next button, and then down the left-hand side, Osprey goes into step 2. In this example, it's actually going to take all of that information that we've entered on the previous screen, and it's going to mail merge and generate both a cover letter, but also an estimate that we can send off to Lucy. Over on the left is your cover letter with all the details mail merged, and also on the right-hand side, the quotation with all of those prices. Okay, I'm happy with that, so I can simply close that Word document. Osprey brings up a pop-up that allows me to change the name of that estimate. I can place it in a specific folder within my matter history, and I've also got the ability to time record. So we're all about encouraging people to time record as and when they're conducting the activity. I can now save that, and a copy of that will be saved within our paperless file. The next logical action may be to send a copy of that to Lucy. And upon clicking next, Osprey brings up an email and has mail merged all of the client and matter information into it. I can then simply select who I'm going to send it to. Let's select Lucy. I can then attach a copy of the document that we just created, the estimate. There it is at the top. And the final thing I'm going to do is, prior to sending it, I'm going to click on this little checkbox, and Osprey will automatically convert that to PDF. Click on send, and a copy of that has now gone off to Lucy, and a copy of that email recorded within her matter history. Clicking on next, you won't see Osprey do this, but down the left-hand side, there's a step for it to automatically create a task. In 5 days' time, I'm going to get a reminder to follow up with Lucy to see if she wants to go ahead with that quotation. And then finally, Osprey will update the workflow status bar, so you'll see that change from inquiry to estimate sent. Now, assuming Lucy comes back to us and confirms that she would like to proceed, the next logical steps may be to do things like your CCL and ID checks and AML checks. We have an integration with InfoTrack, so you can perform any ID and AML checks, things like property searches via the integration. The searches come back into Osprey automatically, and they can also add disbursement costs for those onto the ledger. So you'll never forget to add any of those costs. You'll never put incorrect amounts in, and you'll never have to run requisitions. Also, a really important part of the workflows is incorporating things like your client and matter risk assessments. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole of this process, but Osprey supports initial, interim, and final risk assessment. I'll just show you a few of the tasks. And when I click on the play button, again, Osprey is going to step me through entering all of that information. Now, I suspect many of you may be entering this information directly into blank Word documents. The benefit of using Osprey and capturing this information within data fields is that all of this information is reportable on. I simply go through, enter all of the information, And the final step within this process is really important because what it will then do is take all of the responses and it will mail merge those into the client and matter risk assessment document. And hopefully on screen, you can see an example of that now. Again, if the auditors come in, you've got that full audit trail. So just an example there of how you can incorporate those into your workflow processes to ensure that you're being compliant. And again, just to reiterate, all of the questions, all of the templates are fully tailorable. Once again, the final step will be to update the workflow status bar just to identify that we've completed that part of the task. So that's an example of how the workflows within Osprey operate. And I'll just jump over to our website very quickly just to show you a list of those 50 plus workflows that we've created. So from conveyancing, SRA compliance, crime, employment, family, a whole bunch for you to take advantage of. Let's jump back into Osprey. So where do all these letters, documents, and emails and communications actually go? They go into the matter history tab. So if I click on that now, the first thing that you're going to see up towards the top left-hand corner is what we call our smart actions and folders. So just as an example, we've got our favorite items. Now, the idea behind these is if you're working on a property title or a contract over a period of days, you can simply put a star by certain documents and communications. Then when I come back to this file tomorrow, click on the favorites, and there they are, ready for me to jump into very quickly and easily. You also have things like packages. So packages is a real time saver. If you ever need to send files that are too big to send via email, then you can create a package. You can select single or multiple letters, documents, and emails from your matter history. Osprey then zips them all together. It creates a single URL that you can then copy and paste into an email. The recipient clicks on them and then they can download the information that you've shared with them. No need to extract all of those documents outside of Osprey and use third-party applications such as Dropbox, OneDrive, etc. Down towards the bottom left-hand corner, you've got all of your folder structures. So you have the ability to configure folders and subfolders at a global level. So all matters, all client and matters will inherit those. But you also have the flexibility to configure them at the work type level. So we recognize that you may have and want different folder structures for conveyancing as opposed to family and probate. In the center, you've got a full chronological list of all of your interactions with the client and or third parties. Clicking on something like an email, you'll see a preview over on the right-hand side. I can even click on a document such as this client and matter risk assessment, and I can preview that as well. It's also worth noting whenever a user makes a change to a document, Osprey records a full revision history so that you've got a full audit trail and you can revert back as needed. All of your matter history, all in chronological order. Next up, we've got our financial. Obviously, you can see all of your ledgers, so all of your client and office transactions are accessible. So you can see the date, the details of all of those transactions there. Just towards the bottom, you've got an example there of an InfoTrack order for land registry automatically coming into Osprey. So without you having to do anything. You've got your time ledger and also all of your key dates. Osprey also incorporates a a facility for recording third-party client contacts and organizations. So, for example, you can create organizations that you use on a regular basis. Examples of those might be other side solicitors, medical experts. So you can go in and create those, and then you can utilize them across multiple matters. There's also one for creating third-party contacts, and then you have the ability to associate them with these organizations. When you're going through the workflow, then you can simply select them from a list without having to rekey all of their information. Just jumping back to our matter quickly, one recent feature that we've added that I just forgot to mention whilst on the matter workspace is up at the top here, you can see that we have an indicator for outstanding undertakings. You can create undertakings, work types, and workflows within Osprey, associate them with matters. And then if I were to attempt to go and archive this file, I'm going to start getting notifications that say, hey, Dave, you've got outstanding undertakings that you may wish to complete first. So just wanted to mention that. I want to talk a little bit about requisitions now, because this can also represent a big time saver. So requisitions or electronic chitties are accessible from the top right-hand corner new action button. Imagine I'm a fee earner. I want the accounts team to make a payment to a third party, or perhaps I want them to raise an invoice. I simply click on the requisitions, and then Osprey will bring up a requisition form. I can select from a whole bunch of potential transactions. So in this example, I'll select, maybe I want them to raise an invoice. I can put the date required. I can put a description in, invoice, and then I can simply click on the calculate fee earner costs. Now, this will bring up a list of all of the time that I've recorded. I can cherry pick which items of time I want to include in my invoice. I can put date ranges, select fee earners. I can click tick all, and then what that will do is calculate the total of all of that with. Click on save, and then Osprey populates that into the fee earner costs. I can then add my VATable disbursements, and I can also add my non-VATable as well. A very simple process, calculate the VAT. I can add any additional notes for the authorizer, and then I can simply post that. Now, the accounts team will pick that up. They have the opportunity to review it, make sure everything is correct, and then they can make that payment or posting, and then that will go on to the ledger. They also have the ability to reject it as well, enter a rejection reason. Regardless of what they do, a notification will be sent to the fee earner. Okay, I now just want to move on to our latest feature to be released that Amy alluded to in her introduction, and that is our expenses and overtime functionality. Down at the bottom left-hand corner, we have our profile, and if you hover over it, you'll see two new settings for your expenses and overtime. If you click on expenses, this allows people to record their expenses, and if applicable, they can associate those with client and matters within the system. Let's show you an example of how that works. Over on the right-hand side, we've got an action button, and I can click on a new expense claim. I can pop the date and the recipient. I have the ability to associate this with a matter, and the reasoning for that will become more apparent in just a moment. I can select my claim type. It was a hotel. If it were mileage, then I can enter my locations, whether it's a round trip, and then also the mileage. Is it VATable? is it recoverable? Now, the recoverable option, if this claim goes ahead and gets approved, then what will happen is the system will automatically add a disbursement. And that means that when you come to invoice, that disbursement, that expense will be picked up by the invoice. I can then go in and pop in £125, and Osprey will calculate the VAT on that. Pop in a description, and then I've also got the ability to upload a receipt. So there's my hotel receipt, and then I can save it. So I can go through, add all of my claims, and then I have a simple option that I can go and submit all of those, and then those will go into a holding area. Now, whoever has the approval to do so, they will be able to go into the account section and employee claims, click on expenses, and then they can see a list of all the claims that have come in. They can filter these. So if they just want to see the ones that have been submitted that they need to review, they then have the ability to go in, process a claim, and then they can select from multiple statuses. Okay. If further action or there is a problem with that claim, maybe they've forgotten to include a receipt or the incorrect receipt, then they can change it. And then the person who actually submitted that can go back and make changes to it. So a full expense management process, the ability to recover the costs and automatically add them not only to the client ledger, but also to your nominals, and the ability to record notes against those as well. The overtime claims works in a very, very similar process. So again, you literally just go in, click on add a new overtime. Once again, you have the ability to associate it with a matter, select whether it was client or internal work, pop an amount in, and then obviously the details. Exactly the same approval process is undertaken by that. And again, you've got multiple statuses: approved, rejected, ready to pay, posted, time off in lieu, agreed and paid. So that's our expenses functionality. I just want to jump into also some recently released functionality, which is the Osprey integration with Plaid, which is our banking integration. So you have the ability to connect your bank in with Osprey. Oh, apologies, it's just timed me out due to inactivity. So you can link in your bank account directly with Osprey. And the benefit of doing that is that you don't have to constantly throughout the day be logging into your bank. And as we're probably all aware, it logs you out every few minutes. So with Osprey, you can link single or multiple bank accounts, and that will bring through all of your bank statement information. So rather than, as I say, rather than having to log into your account on a different screen, you can just view, here's my current account. I can view all of my transactions. So we make that process very quick and easy. You also have the ability to create payment links. So if you wanted to create a payment link for an invoice and send it to a client so they can make an online payment, you also have that facility. Now, we are extending our banking integration, and the next iteration will include automated payment links so that when you're generating invoices, at the bottom, it will incorporate a Pay Now link. The client can click on it and then make an online payment. We'll also be elevating the reconciliation as well. So where you're seeing a list of your bank transactions here, essentially it will put Osprey transactions side by side, and it will make recommendations on which transactions to reconcile. So just something I wanted to mention is coming in a future banking integration development. Finally, I just want to talk about reporting and specifically what we call our Osprey analytics. Now, the problem with reporting generally is that it's very static. You often have to go in and run multiple reports to get the information you want, and then you end up cutting and pasting it into Excel spreadsheets. Osprey Analytics removes all of that time-consuming effort. And what we provide is rich, dynamic, and interactive dashboard reporting. You never have to run this. All of the information is pushed automatically to the likes of Teams, Outlook. You can access it through a URL. You can even access it through a mobile app. Obviously, this information is sensitive, so you have the ability to restrict access to it. Now, we've designed these in a manner that they're role specific. So it could be that the partners want to see this information regarding KPIs. So as examples, they can see all of their revenue and WIP this month, this year. We also have the ability to pull through information from other third-party systems, perhaps your HR system for things like salaries. All of that information can be pulled through. Everything is color-coded, so you can see it's color-coded depending upon whether we're meeting or exceeding our targets or we've got work to do. All of our cumulative revenue, so how we're trending in comparison to previous years. Down the left-hand side, again, the partners and the directors of the company may want summaries at the branch, department, and fee earner level. So they've got quick and easy access to all of that information. Things like how many live matters there are, your revenue, your WIP this year, this month, all of your files open and archived. At the office, the department, right down to the fee earner level. It could be that the heads of department want access to specific information. Now, in this example, if I'm the head of conveyancing, when I access this page, I can't see any of the other departments. I can only see conveyancing. All of my revenue and target information, my summary by work type, right down to all of my fee earners. Now, the fee earners, again, maybe they want almost become, more autonomous. So in this example, when Aaron logs in, again, he can't see any of the other users. He just has access to his revenue and target information. You're doing performance reviews. This is a very useful chart. So on a month-by-month basis, everything nicely color-coded so you can see his performance versus his WIP and his revenue targets. All of that information spanning across all of your accounts and finance. A real time saver is our indemnity insurance page. So we all know how difficult and complex these forms are. So Osprey can facilitate all of that information, your revenue, your WIP, how many purchase and sale files you're opening, what the average and the minimum and the maximum prices are. We can even split out all of your revenue for you by percentage of your overall revenue. All of your compliance information in there, your ledger balances with no activity greater than 12 months, your high-risk clients, and then just finally, all of your marketing information. So things like heat maps in terms of overlaying all of your clients, your matters and your revenue. Maybe you're interested in opening a new office somewhere. You can hover over the counties and then it will show you the clients, the matters and the revenue. So just some examples there, all of your repeat clients, and then kind of insights into your average matter values, average hourly rates. So that is what I wanted to run through. Hopefully that's given you a good flavour of all of the features and functions of the system. I'll now just hand back to Amy.
Thank you, Dave. I will just share another reminder for if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat or in the Q&A box, and I'll pop them to Dave in just a minute. But I just wanted to share a final note from me before we wrap up to mention the market leading software solutions and platforms that we integrate with. So Dave has mentioned a few throughout the demo. We have InfoTrack was mentioned. We've got Office 365, a couple that were mentioned along with Plaid, who I'll shout out two integrations today. The first is our latest partner, that is Plaid. As Dave mentioned, this is a bank feed integration that provides real-time bank feeds for better cash flow visibility, but also low-cost online payments. So this is super easy to switch on. There are a few costs involved that we would be happy to share. They're also on our website. So if you want any more information about that and how to get set up, please reach out to your CSM. The second integration I'm going to shout out is one that is in progress, and that is Form Evo. So Form Evo are a forms provider. We've had several requests and feedback from clients and prospects who use the platform and wanted to see it connected with Osprey. So in due course, they will be our newest Osprey integration. So if you'd like any more information at this stage, please contact your CSM, but we will absolutely keep you posted on how that progresses and when that is live and ready to use. So I can't see any further questions in the chat or Q&A. So Dave, you must have done a brilliant job in answering all of those ahead of time. But yeah, please contact your CSM or support if you'd like to book any training, if you'd like any further information, or you'd like to see some of these set up and in action in your site. But thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Dave, for taking us through the demo. And we'll see you some other time. Thank you.
Thank you.